Hello class. In this video we're going to look at a couple tools that will allow you to sort of really change the quality of really your materials later, and you can sort of, it makes it look a little more, I don't want to say hand-drawn, but a little more interesting, again, away from photoreal to sort of give it the quality that you want. And it might be something you use, it might not be, but I just want to show you. And really I'm going to use Dodge, Burn, and sponge tool. They're all very similar. They change the basic color. By using a brush you can like sort of tweak colors and it can have a cool effect. And I'm going to do it on my materials layer, although for my building, although the same thing might apply to people, ground, or other things that you want to apply it to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to materials and I'm going to right click and duplicate my layer. That's just because I don't like, because what I'm going to do is going to affect that layer. And I could always go back to my 3D model and re-render if I need to, but that takes a long time. So if I mess up or if I decide to change my mind or whatever the case might be, I have a duplicate layer. I can always go back to the rendered version. So I'm going to work on this one that's called copy. And I'm just going to show you step by step how all three of these work, though in reality you might not necessarily use all three together. The first one by default is usually color dodge. So I'm going to go to color dodge, and what it is, you can see it looks like a paintbrush. This is a bit big, so I'm going to go to my paintbrush size and just scale this down a little bit. I think it can be on the large size, but it doesn't want to be quite that large. And you can see when I start painting, what's happening is it just takes the color that I have below it and makes it brighter. And so you might apply this to the side of the sun of your faces that have lighting, so that you enhance the lighting, maybe the quality of the light. Really, if you want this to be a bright sunshiny day, you can sort of enhance it and make it look like that, as well as you can see the way I've applied it. I've sort of applied it inconsistently, so it adds a little bit of texture, a little bit of interest to the rendering. And you can keep applying it again. If I clicked and held a second time, it's going to lighten that up even further. And I'm just doing the brown siding here, but you could do it on the brown siding, or really any part of your drawing. You know, as I let go, it sort of adds more texture. And I might be adding too much for this demonstration, but so be it. I can apply it to the red or really sort of anything else. And again, using precedence to really see how you should use this can really be sort of beneficial. If I click and hold, the next one you see is Burn Tool. And the Burn Tool works in the exact same way, except it's sort of in the opposite. What it's going to do is it's going to darken everything up. So maybe I want to darken up my bricks a little bit and sort of add a little texture to that brickwork. I can sort of do that. And if I think it's too bright or too dark, I can actually, in either of the tools, I can play with my exposure. So if I turn my exposure up, you can see that the darkers are going to actually be darker. I think that's probably a little extreme. So I can also, if I want to be more subtle about it, I can turn it downwards. So I might go and, you know, darken this up and sort of add a, you know, sort of add, it's taking it away from being photoreal and making it a drawing that I might want it to be. Now, the last one in this trio is sponge. And I did this because that's the order that Photoshop has this in. Ideally, if you're going to use sponge, you might do it the opposite way around, because instead of making it darker or lighter, what it does is it either saturates it or desaturates it. So I can change the setting here. If I go to saturate, I can do this. And so if this is really meant to be like a warm sunny day, we can see that just by doing this I've sort of upped the colors a bit, and it's because I already lightened it, there might not be richness of colors there that if I started with sponge and then did brightness to it afterwards, I might have been able to get. If I want to sort of pop the red, I can do it over top of the red. And alternatively, I can desaturate it if I want to, sort of takes it back if I want to sort of undo that. Or I can you know, desaturate my bricks if I want to take a little color out of those. So using those together can really significantly affect how this drawing looks. Now again, I've sort of overdid it to show you all three of these tools. So I've seen ones that have used it very subtly just to make a bright spot on the drawing in a location that makes it look like the sun is really shining somewhere. I've seen it used sort of intensely, not all three combined like I did here, but to really make it look like a sketchy feel, and it's really easy to use. So again, take a look at your precedents, talk to me about how to maybe apply these, but see if you can get something like this to work on your drawing.